72% of young voters, according to this new poll, disapprove of how President Biden is handling the Israel-Hamas war. Why do you think so many younger people, especially in your party, see it differently?
I really don't know. I do know that a lot of people are getting their perspective from TikTok. And I think if you're kind of getting your perspective on the world on TikTok, it's going to tend to be kind of warped or not reflective of the history and actually the way things absolutely are.
Okay, now it would be very easy to see that video from John Fetterman and get down on him. But I think there's something to it in that on TikTok, I actually heard that like 20,000 civilians had died in Gaza. And since that is only a fact on TikTok, I guess you can see how that would sway people. No, this is like so condescending. Young people have not had 50 years of being propagandized to about how Palestinians are fundamentally not human. That is a significant difference between them and prior generations. They have not been raised to think that anything that is done by the Israeli military is justified no matter what. So justified that we don't need to comment on it. Fetterman there doesn't really seem to care that much about what's happening in Gaza. And in fact, like to be fair, let me go to more of what he had to say and then we'll do a little bit of eviscerating.
And what is very clear is that Hamas started this and they actually broke the ceasefire and they attacked and murdered babies, children, women, attacked a music concert and everything. It's outrageous. And from now on, it's been very clear that Israel would very much want there to be peace. But they've made it very clear that after October 7th, that's just not possible so long as Hamas is allowed to exist.
John Fetterman has the right issue on a lot of topics, but right there, he is giving you the most smooth-brained version of what the Israeli military line would have you believe about this. He shows no ability whatsoever to understand nuance. He can cite specific things that Hamas has done, some of which are true. Did Hamas start this most recent round of violence? Yes, this most recent round of violence was started by the horrendous incidents on October 7th. Did they break the ceasefire? It's arguable. I mean, they both say that the other side did. And he cites specific reprehensible attacks that they've conducted. And just like virtually everyone in mainstream media, he seems to think that, oh, they did that, so that's it. We don't have to think anymore. You attacked a concert. Okay, 8,000 kids are dead. Way more have lost their parents, other family members. Far more will die as a result of the devastation in Gaza right now. And I would love to have someone have the balls to explain why going into a house and murdering the people there, as reprehensible as that is somehow more morally reprehensible than blowing apart 10 times as many people, 20 times as many people. Murder is unacceptable in all cases, I agree, but 20 times the murder, you should at least recognize that it happened. I feel like at a certain point, once you've blown apart enough babies and children, you should be obligated to at least explain why that doesn't bother you. But John Fetterman there, a guy who has given us some reason in the past to believe that we should have expectations of him, doesn't even need to cite the numbers. He just said, Hamas did it. It's on Hamas, whatever, I'm moving on. I'm not even going to argue, I'm not even gonna take stock of the situation and explain why this mountain of dead civilians is acceptable as a cost in pursuit of Israel's military goals. Ravana, what do you think?
I mean, John Fetterman is literally using his position as a United States senator to justify genocide. And a lot of his justifications for that genocide are rooted firmly in Zionist propaganda, because he did say some things that were true, but a lot of the things that he's used his massive platform to espouse have been blatant lies. And I mean, it just shows a complete indifference to the lives of Palestinians. But John, just to get back to the TikTok thing, I think you're exactly right that young people haven't been as inundated with pro-Israel Zionist propaganda as other generations have. It was never something that I really experienced in my life growing up. I never had like a strong relationship with that kind of propaganda. But TikTok is Obviously, it's become really ubiquitous with Gen Z. People use it every day. I use it every day. I'd like to show him my timeline on TikTok to just have him take a look and see exactly what types of propagandizing are happening. My TikTok is like entirely women doing deadlifts and soccer player hair transplants. But that being said, there's a lot of people who use TikTok as a really good resource to educate people. Ariana Jasmine is a great example. Jessica Burbank uses her platform to educate people on the history of Palestine, as well as the facts of what's actually happening. And we also have on the ground citizen journalists in Gaza who are risking their lives every single day to show the truth to people in the West, to just try to garner some sympathy. And it is really working on particularly the young demographics that are on TikTok, because they haven't had that intense propagandizing to support Israel, but also just seeing the violence right in front of our faces every single day. It's not something that you can deny. It's not something that you can forget. It motivates you. It makes you passionate. It brings people to protests. It gets people, contacting their elected officials to try to call for a ceasefire. And it like breaks my heart that the people who are my age and younger in Gaza have to sacrifice their lives to bring this message to the West, and that they know that the Israeli government might target them, because they've targeted many journalists so far in this genocide, and they might die just to get this message out. And I think that really resonates with the people who are seeing this every single day on platforms like TikTok.
100%. And like, even if you have an issue with where they're getting their news, like, do you think this will be persuasive to them, John Fetterman? Do you think this is going to change some of their minds? I mean, never mind the fact that you, again, refuse to actually accept the numbers coming out of there, accept the fact that thousands of civilians will die this week, thousands of civilians will die next week, and you are not telling me that bothers you, so I have to assume that it does not. And I'm not saying that there can't be generational differences or whatever. There are. I don't use TikTok every day. I go to YouTube to watch videos of women deadlifting. We are different in that way, Ravana. I get them on YouTube Shorts. But anyway, this is not persuasive. This feels like the Biden administration line on all the criticisms of them. Like, just spit in the face of the people who have good reason to have an issue with your performance. That's not gonna get a lot of people on your side. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.